Hello, America! JOC here with your Ranting Politics headline updates, where we are diving into today's most explosive political stories that you need to know about. Coming up, nuclear-armed neighbors India and Pakistan are back at it again over Kashmir, with both sides ratcheting up tensions after a deadly tourist attack. Could a water dispute actually lead to war? Then, a Chilean illegal immigrant with a criminal history is caught snatching Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's Gucci bag right off her chair during Easter dinner. The Trump administration is pushing back hard against claims they're deporting American children with their illegal immigrant parents. Plus, Senator Adam Schiff shares a brutally honest conversation with a San Francisco Target cashier that should have Democrats sweating. And America's baby bust continues as fertility rates hit record lows, while the administration talks up a baby boom. If you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome to America's fastest growing daily news rundown, designed specifically for your commute, run, or coffee time. Stick around for all this and more in your daily dose of unfiltered news and common sense commentary. This is Ranting Politics Headline Updates. Nuclear tensions are heating up in South Asia after a deadly attack on tourists in Indian-controlled Kashmir has pushed two longtime rivals closer to the brink. According to the Associated Press, gunmen killed 26 people, mostly Indian tourists, during an attack near the picturesque town of Pahalgam on Tuesday. India immediately pointed the finger at Pakistan, though a previously unknown group calling itself Kashmir Resistance has claimed responsibility. India wasted no time hitting back with serious diplomatic measures. They've downgraded diplomatic ties, suspended a crucial water-sharing agreement, and revoked all visas issued to Pakistani nationals. They're also reducing staff at their High Commission in Pakistan and demanding Pakistan cut its diplomatic presence in New Delhi by nearly half. Pakistan didn't take this lying down. They've called India's actions irresponsible, canceled visas for Indian nationals, suspended all trade with India, even through third countries, and closed their airspace to Indian aircraft. The most concerning development might be India's suspension of the Indus Water Treaty. This 1960 agreement, brokered by the World Bank, has survived multiple wars between the countries and governs how they share the waters of the Indus River system, an absolute lifeline for both nations. Pakistan has explicitly warned that any attempt to stop or divert water flow would be considered an act of war. What makes this situation particularly volatile is that both countries possess nuclear weapons. They fought 3 wars since gaining independence in 1947, with 2 specifically over Kashmir. A stunning Himalayan region split between them, but claimed by both in its entirety. The region has seen armed insurgents resisting Indian rule for decades, with many Muslim Kashmiris supporting either Pakistani rule or independence. India has long accused Pakistan of supporting these militants, something Islamabad consistently denies. This latest escalation comes at a time when India has already imposed sweeping security measures in Kashmir, following Prime Minister Modi's 2019 revocation of the region's semi-autonomous status. With both sides digging in and a history of rapid escalation between these nuclear neighbors, the international community is watching this situation with growing concern. India's suspension of the Indus Water Treaty marks what could be a dangerous inflection point in the already volatile relationship between these nuclear-armed neighbors. This isn't just another diplomatic spat. It's a potential existential threat to Pakistan's survival as we know it. The Indus Water Treaty has been a remarkable achievement in international cooperation. Signed in 1960 and brokered by the World Bank, it's one of the few agreements between India and Pakistan that has withstood the test of time, surviving 2 full-scale wars and countless border skirmishes. It's been called one of the most successful water-sharing arrangements in the world, until now. Under the treaty, India controls the eastern rivers, the Ravi, Sutlej, and Beas, while Pakistan controls the western rivers, the Jhelum, Chenab, and Indus itself. This arrangement has been crucial for both nations, but particularly for Pakistan, where agriculture accounts for about 25% of the GDP and employs nearly half the workforce. Pakistan's reaction to India's announcement has been swift and unequivocal. Their foreign ministry described water access as a vital national interest. and warned that any attempt to stop or divert water would be considered an act of war. These aren't empty words. For a country already struggling with drought conditions and declining rainfall in many regions, water security is non-negotiable. What makes this particularly concerning is that the treaty itself contains no provision for unilateral suspension. Legal experts are already questioning whether India's move violates international law. The World Bank, which helped broker the original agreement, has yet to weigh in on what role it might play in de-escalating the situation. Pakistan has countered by threatening to suspend the Simla Agreement, a crucial peace treaty signed after the 1971 war that established the line of control dividing Kashmir. This agreement has been the bedrock of whatever stability has existed in the region for over 5 decades. Water disputes have triggered conflicts throughout human history, but rarely between nations armed with nuclear weapons. With Pakistan's agriculture sector already under pressure from climate change and a growing population of 240 million people, any disruption to water supplies could create domestic instability that might push leaders toward desperate measures. International observers are watching closely, concerned that what began as a horrific terrorist attack could spiral into a confrontation with global implications. According to the AP, both nations have been steadily building their nuclear arsenals and missile delivery systems over recent decades, making any potential conflict infinitely more dangerous than previous wars between them. Despite decades of occasional peace initiatives, India and Pakistan remain locked in one of the world's most intractable and dangerous rivalries. Their history is marked by brief moments of diplomacy overwhelmed by larger patterns of hostility, with Kashmir serving as the primary flashpoint. The Kargil conflict of 1999 offers a sobering glimpse of how quickly tensions can escalate. What began with Pakistan-backed militants and soldiers quietly seizing Indian military posts in the frigid heights of Kashmir's Kargil region erupted into a 10-week conventional war that claimed at least 1,000 lives. Only direct intervention from the United States prevented further escalation between the newly declared nuclear powers. The pattern continued in 2008 when 10 members of the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba militant group orchestrated coordinated attacks across Mumbai, killing 166 people. India immediately pointed to Pakistan's intelligence services as the architects of the assault, an accusation Islamabad has consistently denied. The Mumbai attacks effectively derailed a promising peace process and reinforced India's narrative that Pakistan uses terrorism as state policy. Perhaps most relevant to today's crisis was the 2019 Pulwama attack, when a suicide bombing killed 40 Indian soldiers in Kashmir. India responded with airstrikes inside Pakistan, claiming to hit a terrorist training camp. Pakistan countered with its own aerial raids, shooting down an Indian fighter jet and briefly capturing its pilot. The world held its breath as the two nuclear powers teetered on the brink of full-scale war. That confrontation led directly to Prime Minister Modi's controversial decision to revoke Kashmir's semi-autonomous status later that year, imposing sweeping security measures that dramatically altered the region's political landscape. Since then, India has maintained a massive security presence in Kashmir, severely restricting civil liberties and media access while claiming to have restored stability. The current crisis follows this familiar script, but with several worrying new dimensions. Unlike previous flare-ups, this dispute directly involves critical water resources through the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty. And it comes at a time when hardline nationalist governments control both countries, with limited diplomatic channels remaining open. What makes this cycle of conflict particularly dangerous is the nuclear dimension. Since their respective weapons tests in 1998, both countries have significantly expanded their nuclear arsenals and delivery systems. Military analysts estimate each nation now possesses between 150 to 260 nuclear warheads, along with advanced missile systems capable of striking deep into the other's territory. As tensions rise again over Kashmir, the international community faces the sobering reality that what begins as a border skirmish or diplomatic dispute could rapidly escalate into humanity's first nuclear exchange between rival powers. In a story that sounds straight out of a political thriller, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's Easter Sunday family dinner turned into a security nightmare when her luxury Gucci bag was snatched from a DC restaurant. The bag wasn't just any accessory, it contained $3,000 in cash, her driver's license, passport, DHS badge, and apartment keys. Law enforcement sources have now identified the culprit as 49-year-old Mario Bustamante Leyva, a Chilean national who entered the United States illegally. What's particularly concerning is that this wasn't some opportunistic crime. Bustamante Leyva is allegedly part of a sophisticated East Coast robbery organization with an international criminal history. Security footage captured the suspect wearing an N95 surgical mask, dark pants, and a ball cap as he methodically surveyed the restaurant before making off with Noem's bag. The Capitol Burger, located just a mile from the White House, was chosen as the target despite its high-profile clientele and 23 signature burgers. U.S. Attorney Ed Martin has indicated that Noem wasn't specifically targeted for her position, noting that this was not an amateur. This was a person, a thief, that knew how to do this. You could see how he scouted the room out. The thief was likely attracted to the expensive Gucci bag, rather than its owner's identity. A second suspect, also in the country illegally, was later arrested in Miami. Sources say the pair work as a team and have committed similar thefts across the country. Even more revealing, Bustamante Leyva was previously arrested in 2015 for a 5-month robbery spree in London, where he stole nearly £28,000 worth of phones, wallets, and computers. Noem expressed gratitude to law enforcement on social media, writing, "This individual is a career criminal who has been in our country illegally for years. Unfortunately, so many families in this country have been made victims by crime. And that's why President Trump is working every single day to make America safe and get these criminal aliens off of our streets." Martin promised that with ICE now involved, the suspects won't be returning to American streets. President Trump's direction to us is we charge these folks that are here illegally and we prosecute them, as well as deport them when need be. What I can tell you is he won't be back on the streets of America. The New York Post first reported details of the suspect's identity and criminal history, highlighting yet another case that's certain to fuel ongoing debates about border security and immigration enforcement. Stay with us as we take a quick break to hear from our lead sponsor, whose support helps make this show possible.
Are you ready to catapult your online sales into a new dimension? Whether you're crafting unique products or generating leads, Digital Target AI is your go-to digital media powerhouse. With over a decade of excellence, our award-winning direct response expert team at Digital Target specializes in turning clicks into customers. We're here to help you maximize sales on platforms like Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, and Walmart, making sure your e-commerce engine is firing on all cylinders. Why wait? Head to digitaltarget.ai today and sign up for a free digital marketing evaluation. Let us show you how to enhance your digital strategy and boost your business like never before. Digital Target AI, where your targets meet our technology and your business booms. Visit digitaltarget.ai. That is digitaltarget.ai.
Top Trump administration officials are forcefully pushing back against claims that the United States is deporting American children, calling such characterizations misleading and inaccurate. During appearances on Sunday news programs, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Border Czar Tom Homan sought to clarify controversial cases that have drawn significant media attention. Children aren't deported, Homan stated plainly on CBS's Face the Nation, addressing a recent case that sparked outrage. The mother chose to take the children with her. If you're here illegally and you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, that's on you, regarding what happens if deportation occurs. That's not on this administration, he emphasized. Rubio similarly expressed frustration with media coverage during his appearance on NBC's Meet the Press, saying, "You guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed a 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading. That's just not true." The controversy stems from a recent case involving a 2-year-old American citizen who was sent to Honduras alongside her deported mother, prompting an emergency petition from the child's father. Trump-appointed federal judge Terry Doughty raised concerns that the child was sent back with no meaningful process, despite the father's wishes to keep her in the United States. Homan directly challenged the judge's assessment. "I disagree with the judge. It was due process," he said. That female had due process at great taxpayer expense and was ordered by an immigration judge after those hearings. This is Parenting 101. You can decide to take that child with you, or you can decide to leave a child here with a relative or another spouse. Having a U.S. citizen child doesn't make you immune from our laws of the country. When pressed about the judge's due process concerns, Homan expressed doubts that the judge knows specifics of this case and insisted it's not a government decision, it's a parent's decision. Another controversial case involved a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer who was sent to their mother's country of origin. A lawyer for the child alleged they were sent without medication or adequate means to communicate with U.S.-based doctors during the trip. Rubio addressed this case directly. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if their father or someone here who wants to assume them. Ultimately, who was deported was their mothers, who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. These cases come as the Trump administration has been fighting in the courts to end birthright citizenship, the constitutional provision that automatically grants citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil. Supporters of this effort believe eliminating birthright citizenship would remove a key incentive for illegal immigration. California Senator Adam Schiff sent warning signals to fellow Democrats during a recent panel appearance on HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher, sharing a personal anecdote that he believes reveals a critical perception problem for his party. "We're going to have to change how we do business in California," Schiff admitted candidly. "We're going to have to address people's legitimate concerns about crime." Schiff then recounted a revealing experience from 2 years ago in San Francisco, when his luggage was stolen from his car. The one time he confessed that he ignored warnings about leaving valuables in vehicles while in the notoriously high-crime city. "What was most memorable about the experience for me is I went to this Target in South San Francisco, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm getting the toiletries I'm going to need for my next 2 days in the city," Schiff explained. "First of all, I had to get the clerk, which is hard to find, to unlock the shampoo or the whatever. So that's one thing. The interaction with the cashier proved even more enlightening. The cashier asked me if I want one of those Target bags with a little bullseye on it. And I said, yes, that Target bag is going to be my luggage for the next 2 days," Schiff continued. "And she asked me what happened. And I told her, and she basically said in not so many words, yeah, Democrats are a-holes." This blunt assessment from a retail worker in deep blue San Francisco struck Schiff as a serious warning sign. "I thought, if the cashier in South San Francisco at 10 o'clock at night believes that Democrats are a-holes because the shampoo was locked up and my stuff got stolen out of the trunk, we've got a major problem that we have to address." Maher, known for challenging progressive orthodoxy, responded, "That's an awesome story. That says a lot. I hope all the Democrats listen to that story." Schiff did express optimism about San Francisco's new Democratic mayor, Daniel Lurie, who he believes is helping lead the way in how we kind of reinvent how Democrats are doing governance, suggesting a potential path forward for his party to reconnect with voters frustrated by crime and public safety issues in Democrat-led cities. The Fox News report highlighted how this rare moment of political introspection from a prominent Democrat underscores growing concerns within the party about maintaining voter support in traditionally blue urban areas where quality of life issues have become increasingly contentious. America's fertility rate has hit another concerning low, according to new data from the CDC. About 3.6 million babies were born in the U.S. in 2024, with the fertility rate at just 54 births for every 1,000 women of reproductive age. That's a mere 1% increase from the record low set in 2023. And experts warn this slight uptick doesn't indicate any meaningful reversal of the decades-long downward trend. What's particularly notable is how the demographics of motherhood are shifting dramatically. Birth rates are now highest among women in their early 30s, with more than 95 births per 1,000 women aged 30 to 34. Meanwhile, teen births and births among women in their early 20s have declined to all-time lows. Teen births fell 3% from last year to fewer than 13 births per 1,000 teenage girls. The small overall increase in births, about 27,000 more than in 2023, was driven primarily by higher birth rates among Asian and Hispanic women. while rates decreased among Black, white, and American Indian women. Experts point to multiple factors influencing these trends, including socioeconomic circumstances and broader reproductive health experiences. The maternal healthcare crisis looms large, with over a third of the country classified as maternal healthcare deserts and alarmingly high maternal mortality rates, especially among Black women. CNN is reporting that key figures in the Trump administration have begun emphasizing the importance of increasing the birth rate, though concrete plans to support women, babies, and families remain unclear. The Trump administration appears increasingly focused on reversing America's declining birth rate, with several key officials making the issue a priority. Elon Musk, who heads the Department of Government Efficiency, has been particularly vocal, telling Fox News that the low birth rate keeps him up at night, and dramatically declaring that humanity is dying. Vice President J.D. Vance hasn't been subtle about his pronatalist views either. After attending the March for Life rally in January, he stated plainly, "I want more babies in the United States of America." He framed the issue as a generational obligation, criticizing what he sees as society's failure to recognize this responsibility. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy joined the chorus in March, issuing a memo promising to direct more funding to areas with higher birth rates. President Trump himself has expressed desire for a baby boom and branded himself the father of IVF during his campaign, even signing an executive order in February to develop policy recommendations aimed at expanding access to and making in vitro fertilization more affordable. Well, that brings us to the end of another packed episode of Ranting Politics Headline Updates. Today, we've navigated the treacherous waters of international relations as India and Pakistan inch closer to potential conflict over Kashmir. We've examined the controversial deportation cases making headlines and the administration's stance on these complex issues. We also dove into Senator Schiff's frank wake-up call for Democrats after his enlightening conversation with a Target cashier in San Francisco. And we took a look at the administration's calls for a new baby boom. As always, we appreciate you spending part of your day with us. If you found today's episode informative, be sure to follow us on X at RantingRP. You can also catch full episodes on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. For more in-depth coverage of these stories and exclusive content, visit us at rantingpolitics.com. This is JOC signing off, and thank you, our loyal listeners, for choosing Ranting Politics Headline Updates. We'll be back soon with the updates you need to navigate these interesting times. Remember, we don't align with a political party. We align with you, the American citizen. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay free.